Hi there, ElChals. I hope I got that right. So I'm just gonna post a little quick video response here to your playing. Sorry for that. I'm trying to recover here from the whole family had the flu, and yeah. So I think you did really good with the rec take. As we said, it's a little rough around the edges, but the energy is there, and I'd basically like to address what I view as maybe the most important thing for you to fix here, because the focus of this lesson is actually, the speed picking part. And we can tell by looking at your right hand, and that's why video is so useful, because we can really see what's going on there. We can tell there's a big arm movement going. How do I know that? Well, it looks like this when you're playing. And that's cool because it, in a way it's cool tonal-wise, because it sounds good when you make a big movement. It's aggressive, there's attack, you kind of dig into the string, and basically you have more muscle power to work with. So it's cool, but there are also disadvantages with it. It's harder to control this big movement, right? Because that kind of movement relies on you tensing up. You have to really go in for it, And there's not a lot of precision in those muscles when you tense up. So how do you get precision in your picking? Well, you rely on the smaller muscles. For example, the wrist muscle, and the joint movement here. Now, part of the reason why I'm doing this video is because those movements are kind of hard to detect. It's hard to see that there's a minimal movement going on. I'm doing this now, but in reality, it's much less visible. You can't really see it. Same with the wrist, Sometimes you can see it, but it's also a small movement. And the reason these movements are so small is because they are a combination of lots of movements. A real cool picking technique will often utilize both smaller movements and bigger movement, and even shoulder movement. That's especially important when you're repositioning your hand. Okay, so just an example here. Instead of doing, I'm gonna slow things down so you can see the movement. Instead of doing this, I'm doing a big movement. You could do, or even, you see my point? The big movement is, the smaller movement, wrist movement is this. The smallest movement, the joint movement is this. Okay? So those are the things you're gonna work with. Now, why, it's not as easy as for me to tell you exactly how to do it. Everybody's different, but in almost, the good 99% of all cases where there's a controlled picking technique involved, it usually means the guitarist is aware, or at least is making use of all these movements. So you can't disregard one of them. They're all important, right? So you gotta practice them. And that's how you can get a more precise technique. Because what we can tell from your rec take is that you're kind of having some issues when you're starting and ending the speed run. It's like takeoff is difficult for you because you're going from a relaxed technique where you're doing whatever to a more tense technique. Now the transition between those two is hard. So you're doing, and in between that's going to be tricky. It's much easier if you're relaxed and just continue, that relaxed picking. You won't have the same issue transitioning between. But even if you find a way to circumvent that problem, I still think that having a technique that totally relies on this movement is not recommended. So you have several reasons why you would want to work with smaller picking movement. Now this is a big topic, and I have a whole course about speed picking. So I gave you the link to a specific installment where I explain those 4 different movements, basically. This movement, this movement, this movement, and the whole shoulder movement. So I advise maybe you could check that out and it'll help you out. But either way, I think you're doing good here. There's a lot of cool energy here, and I'm really looking forward to your coming rec takes. Thanks a lot for listening. Good luck. Cheers.